Well, hello there everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's Space Cowboy here with another video for you guys here today. Cowboys lose once again to the Philadelphia Eagles, 34-6. Not surprised whatsoever. And the Cowboys have not won a game at home this calendar year so far. And on top of that, it was their first game without Dak Prescott for the remainder of this season. And so far, no wins, and I understand it's just one game, but still doesn't look so good. The Dallas Cowboys are also the first team in NFL history to trail at home by 20 points or more in the past 5 home games they've had, and that includes the playoff game versus Green Bay. You know how embarrassing that is? No other NFL team has done that, not even teams that have gone 0-16, 1-15. The Panthers haven't done that, considering they've been one of the worst teams in all of football. But here are the Cowboys looking to outshine them in every possible way, right? Let's talk about quickly some interesting stats. I'm not going to go over everything, but I did want to bring up a couple things. The Dallas Cowboys had 49 yards total passing. Now, I understand if you were to add up the yardage between Trey Lance and Cooper Rush, it's more than that, but that's also including the sack yardage. It's the least amount of yardage passing that's been in a game, like in a full game, since Quincy Carter was the quarterback back in 2001. I believe it was the home opener versus Tampa Bay, I believe, or Atlanta. But that's embarrassing, man. You couldn't even get a net of 50 passing yards. And the thing is when you look at the averages, dude, Cooper Rush, 13 for 23, 45 yards, and no touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked once. Dude, 2 yards per completion. Trey Lance went 4 for 6, 21 yards, 3.5 yards per completion, and he had the 1 interception. But Trey Lance at least looked like something, right? And the thing is that this was a game until it wasn't. I mean, you had Zeke fumble out of the end zone. Rico Dowdle, 12-53. I really don't care. You almost ran for over 100 yards, but it wasn't particularly efficient. I mean, aside from Trey Lance, Rico Dowdle had a decent showing, even though he didn't really have that many carries. He had the 119-yard run, but that was pretty much it. The Eagles ran for 187. I mean, what else is new, dude? Like, this team can't... But I will say the highlight was the defense. DeMarvion Overshown, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, quarterback hits, Micah Parsons with 2 sacks. Shout out to Carl Lawson and Osa for the half sack each, and then you had Trayvon Diggs with the interception. Shout out to Brandon Aubrey for getting our points. And the Cowboys had 5 turnovers in this game. They had about as many turnovers as they had points. You ain't winning in that. And I'm going to go ahead and take off the stats here because there's no point in talking about that. There's other things that are plaguing this organization. I don't like sounding like a broken record to you guys, but the thing that's been bothering me about this team is they don't try. And it seems like there is a lack of creativeness, let's just put it, from the front office to try and add more to this roster. And that's what's sad, man, is like we can talk about the players not performing, which is valid. We can talk about the coaches not coaching, which is valid. But the main thing is that when you have a general manager that's been here for as long as Jerry has been, and you continue to make terrible personnel decisions that leads to why your team is 3-6, and you're out here saying that Cooper Rush played better, or the offense played better under Cooper Rush than Dak Prescott, and that, we didn't play well under Dak and all this stuff, which I'm not disagreeing. The offense didn't look good, but your offense looks so horrible that you would hope that Dak Prescott was back out there. And that's the thing that's scary, guys, is that, sure, you can't win with the backup quarterback, but the fact that your offense was so anemic that your franchise quarterback made it look bad, but this is worse. And again, Dak Prescott was not going to save this team. Mike McCarthy is not going to save this team. And it's on Jerry Jones for putting the team in the position that it's in. But the fact of the matter is that this team has limited options in what it can do. And it's not the fact that it actually has limited options. It's the fact that the front office makes it seem like it does win. That's not the case. Like, you have $29 million in cap space, actually now like 28 and some change. And you could have gone after some players like, Mike Williams. You saw him catch the pass out there in Washington for Pittsburgh for the game-winning touchdown. You could have gone after like other players with that fourth-round pick. But you didn't. Or I would prefer that you didn't make the trade. But either way, you went after Jonathan Mingo, who has yet to play a snap. So what the hell? You're not really putting together like an actual like game plan of like what you want to do. Right? And I understand like some people are like, well, Space, they need to figure out the next head coach. Well, no, like you need to have a game plan. Like, okay, is it like, and follow me here. Is it that, okay, we are going to contend, we're going to open up a crap load of cap space, sign as many dudes as we can to fill these holes on the roster, or restructure like one contract to open up a bunch of space to go bring some guys in, and then we just kind of, mess with our draft capital, right? And also trade to get those players. Are you going to do that, and maximize that? Are you going to sell, which I know they didn't, but like I'm saying in the offseason, are you going to sell pieces? Are you going to gather draft capital and go through a long rebuild? Or are you going to do what I know they're going to do? They're going to say that they can't use money because they're in a soft rebuild. And then you're going to spend the next 3 years drafting dudes, hopefully they develop, rather than just accelerate that process through trades and free agency effectively. That's why I hate where we're at. The Cowboys fail every single time to capitalize on the moment. And whether they want to say like, oh, by the way, let's say you're like, you know what? I think Dak Prescott's not in anymore. I don't believe that personally, but follow me here. Okay, so what's the exit plan? Are you going to draft a quarterback? You're going to just let him sit behind Dak the next 2 years and then jettison? Like, what are you going to do? And the thing that bugs me the most is you still have a large chunk of this fan base that wants to act like Jerry has no say in this, or Jerry's not at fault, or well, he doesn't play on the field, or he doesn't hire the coach, or he doesn't coach the team. Well, let's think about that, right? So he's your general manager. Again, he said he can do this better than anybody else. So if that's the case, last time I checked, he decided to give Dak Prescott $60 million a year. Now, again, that's the quarterback market. He was set to make that money anyway. You are not going to sway me to think that he was going to get something like, no, he was going to get that money. But the Cowboys said, hey, we'll pay you. They said, oh, we'll pay you, CD. Oh, we're going to pay some of these other dudes, right? We're not going to go out and get some guys in free agency. We'll get some backups. We'll draft these dudes. But here's the thing. You didn't fire Mike McCarthy after that embarrassment, even though many times you've heard him say, oh, we weren't prepared. Oh, we were tired. Oh, we were scared. We were nervous. But you didn't fire him, right? But then you also have, what's his face? Jerry going out there talking about, oh, we got all these packages for these players. Oh, I'm just, my roster's so great. Bro, you're 3-6. And I'm going to say this as slowly as possible. Jerry Jones is the reason why some of these players get paid, why these players come here, why these coaches come here, in the sense of like who runs this operation. I understand that I want Mike McCarthy fired, and I have reasons for that. I understand that I have certain feelings for some of these players. Here's the thing. As long as they're here, look, I have no control over this. At least try to do your job. But when you don't try, I don't care, right? If the owner ain't tripping, I ain't tripping. I think that's the mindset we need to adopt. I do not give a flying fuck what this team does. For all I care, they're probably going to go 3-14. Do I care? Not really, because I was not as emotionally invested this year as in years past because they did not try this year. If you're not going to try, and I'm going to say this and then I'll let you guys go. And I apologize for droning on and on and on, but I haven't really had time to really sit down and really think about this because I wanted to see what was going to be said after the game and all that other stuff, right? Now, in terms of outside of the Cowboys realm of things, if you know me, second favorite sport, or really it's my favorite sport, and football is second, is baseball. No, I'm not a Texas Rangers fan. I am a Philadelphia Phillies fan. I do not care what you think. Okay, born and raised near the Philadelphia area. Baseball was my first passion. Sorry. This team that I have followed for quite some time, they've won a championship in my lifetime. They've been to several championship, World Series appearances. They've only won one in my lifetime, but that's okay. They won it when I was like 10 years old. But they've been back. They've signed superstars. They've signed pieces as complementary pieces, which allowed them to become a competitive team. And they're not afraid to make changes with that, like from a manager perspective. But that's the thing, right? When you have a ownership group, and I know baseball is a whole lot different, but think about this, right? The same thing applies. When you try to build a roster, you make trade, you go out in free agency, it's like, if you try, I'm invested in that, right? And keep in mind, I want you to really think about this, that the Phillies went on a drought between 2012 through 2021. 2011, 2022, they made the postseason. But in that gap, they didn't make the postseason. But you know what they did? They tried signing dudes. They signed Bryce Harper. They went and signed some other dudes to come along with them. Are there things that I would wish they would do more? Yeah. But the main thing, guys, I want you to think about this. The reason why I get invested in that team, not only just because I love baseball, but it's because of the fact that they try. You at least try. And when you do that, it shows me that you want to win. When you don't try, it shows me that you don't want to win. You don't care about that. And that's the main difference from these teams that I've watched over my lifetime. And I want you to think about that, is that when you have a team that doesn't try, I'm not going to be as emotionally invested like this year. I had no reason to be. Sure, the Phillies lost to the Mets, and they won their division for the first time in a long, long time, and they only won one playoff game. But at least I was entertained throughout the whole season. They tried, they added pieces, all that other stuff. It happens. It's baseball. It's hard to win in baseball. In football, I want to say it's easy because we haven't had a repeat champion until the Chiefs did it. But the last thing I'll leave you with, the Cowboys don't try. They probably will never try. And I'm not saying stop watching them. You can choose whatever you want. But the thing is that in terms of how I cover this team moving forward, the energy I'm going to match. I'm just simply not going to care. I am simply just going to watch, react. We talk about how dumb this team looks and just see what Jerry says, and we just go on. But the one thing I will say, if you're going to suck, make sure you do it well. Pause, because at this point, go get that number one pick, baby. That's all I'm asking for. So I will leave you guys with that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys later.